The State of Crypto is presented by Tron, connecting the world to the power of cryptocurrency.
Crypto traders have lost over $300 million worth of digital assets in crypto exploits and hacks last month, according to security audit firm CertiK. The report comes after roughly $52 million of assets were siphoned from Curve Finance over the weekend. Joining us to discuss is CertiK CEO and co-founder Roy Hoibu. Welcome. What are the key takeaways from this report?
Yeah, I would say July is really a dark month for the blockchain industry. As you just mentioned, more than $300 million has been lost due to various of hacks and scams instances. And that's a number in a single month. Well, in Q1 and Q2 this year, each quarter loss is about 300 million. So basically means that July, in a single month, the loss kind of like exceeds what we have lost in Q2 in one quarter. So it's really a dark month, I would say.
Right. So what we want to just understand is if you could just explain what happened at Vyper, and because what we're not hearing is some kind of like a clear understanding of why this happened. Only thing that we're hearing is from you, really, which talks about an upgrade that happened, but users didn't upgrade their devices, and therefore they were exploited. That just seems very like basic stuff, and it doesn't seem like completely foolproof of a system, a programmability system like Vyper. It should obviously have other functions that allow for users to not get exploited just because they didn't press update.
Yeah, well, it's really a great question, and it's a great comparison. I would say that everyone now is talking about the Vyper instance and also affected DeFi protocols, and it's still things still continue, and people are still estimating the loss and the potential loss and so on. So what happened to Vyper instance? So as you mentioned, so the one sentence summary is that the developer didn't upgrade the compiler version to the latest one. So it's kind of like the user didn't press the update button and using the old version of the compiler and then expose such vulnerabilities. And if I want if to go to more details, it's kind of like, so Vyper is a contract-oriented programming languages that developers are used to write smart contracts and so on. There are three versions, effective versions. So there's a bug in the compiler that compiles this smart contracts to the code that will be executed on blockchain. So basically it means that the developer, if they use the old version, the wrong versions, even if the smart contracts they have written are correct, the real running code on the blockchain may still be vulnerable and so on. That's what happened to Vyper instance. And that leads to all this potential loss. Yeah.
So I know that I know that Lawrence would jump on this, but where is the accountability? The bottom line is that this is the decentralized world. The reason there are rules and regulations is because somebody can be held accountable, and there is therefore a deterrence of a punishment. Here there is seemingly just the loss of money for people, or I don't know who. So, like, where does the accountability come?
Yeah, good question. So in this community, in this industry, we always saying that code is law, right? So you should not trust any people. You should not trust any institute, any entity. You just need to trust the code. You just need to trust the technology. But you can see that most of the instances are caused due to bugs in the code, because code are written by human beings and we may make mistakes. Like in this case, the developer even didn't make mistakes in the smart contract, but they use the wrong compiler version that leads to the instance. So you can't say, well, we blame Vyper because it's an open source project, and you can't really blame the developer. You definitely can't blame the users. So who should I would say take the responsibility? That's a big question mark also in this industry, because it's decentralized. So that is also why people rely on many third-party auditing firms, right, to try to help improve the reliability and the security. But then should you blame this, let's say, if incident happens, should you blame auditing firms? So that's really a, I would say, unknowing question. Yeah.
Well, with the I do want to ask about some of the other attacks that have happened and if they're related, how they're related, and if there are any big lessons that we can come away with between this Viper situation on Curve and any other things that we see. Is there an underlying frailty in DeFi that can be overcome? And if so, other than auditing firms, as you said, that's kind of complicated, what else can be done?
Yes, a good question. So you can see that, in this industry, the code became more and more complicated. And so it's still a very young industry, rely on many new building blocks and introduce new cybersecurity challenges. For example, like at the beginning, people say now, well, we issue ERC20 token, we just need to make sure they are secure. And then we build a very complicated smart contracts like DeFi protocols and so on. We'll try to make sure, well, these smart contract source code are correct. And now you can see that, well, they also rely on lots of other tool chains like compiler. We also need to make sure compiler is correct. Well, this code still runs on like layer 2 network, like the many things we have been talking about actively, like the base, right, layer 2 built by Coinbase and so on. And then we have layer 1 network, basically the underlying blockchain execute the code. Well, these are also introduced new building blocks like RPC node and the new security risks like memory safety and so on. And then underlying, you also need to secure your private key. Right, and many instances also happened related to the key leakage and so on. So many new building blocks, and I would say it's really tough, and we have to educate both the users and the developer in this industry about, well, you need to pay more attention. Beyond the smart contracts auditing, you also need to do this what we call the full stack cyber security, protect, let's say, starting from the smart contracts to layer 2 network, to layer 1 network, then to private your key management system, and so on.
So there's just been kind of one DeFi hack after another. Do you think AI could potentially help solve this problem?
Yeah, people are also talking about, well, can we rely on AI to help check or audit smart contracts, right? And so on. Well, this is a pretty hot topic, but now more and more developers, they try to rely on AI to generate code, to synthesize the code, because it's gonna improve the productivity a lot. And then you should not rely on at least the same AI technology to audit the code generated by AI. So I would say that code auditing can be much more powerful in the future, and much more necessary in the future, because in the future, let's say maybe more than 50% of codes are generated by AI, or generate with the help of AI. Then we need to make sure that while these codes are indeed trustworthy, there are no backdoors and so on. Yeah.
We could assume that people are using AI to try to find weaknesses and exploit them as well.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Rahul Gu. That was Certic CEO and co-founder Rahul Gu.